Let there be light, and there was light. Okay, so of course, this lighting I believe is so much better now. So I am very proud of myself the way um I have hanged the light up and reposition. And talking of reposition, that's what we are doing. But everything seemed to just come alive because the last it's not the last, but because the last video I did was on Mother Eve and Adam. Well, this is it's I seem to be working on two sets of information right now, although they're very interrelated. But this is the twin flames and soulmate section is going on, where I've got those sketches with Adam and Eve. This really came about, as I say, spontaneously, and it really is that energy which reminds me of a dream too. It's the energy is so immense in my hands. I had to sort of go do some sketching, and I'm very pleased with what I have done because I haven't drawn for ages, and there I am. It looks like there are two people there, and it looks like male and female, so you can identify them, and there's expressions as well, so I'm really pleased with that. And it has been done almost effortlessly, so I feel it's something I'm going to take up to of course get my artistic streak to perfection. Of course, it is quite perfect as it is right now, but we are talking again, like I have used an analogy of a cake rising. So it is perfect to where it's at now. This is the story that we had been given of Mother Eve and Father Adam. It was a lie, meaning the cake hadn't risen. So let me not go too much into this. If you're interested in that, do watch my video on well, we have been fed a lie or something to that effect. Adam and Eve, the hottest twin flames, the hottest twin flames. Okay, so we are looking at the second God, which is the God of movement. So God moved. So God moved. It's funny, I should have a red pencil as well, a red pen, because of course that meant with red there had to be movement. It is passion, it is anger, it is fiery, it is life, it is blood, oh, and I'm wearing red as well. I must have been the god of movement then. Okay, so there we are as well. This reminds me because I was doing a video earlier trying to remember about the 14 gods. So the 14 gods that we had been talking about, I actually had come across this before, and I meant to meditate on it a bit more. But I think those 14 gods were female, were Eves. They were the Eves. Now all that really makes sense, and that really came through on the last video I was doing, because what came through, as I say, a lot of this deliverance is like, it's like a baby. You almost don't know when it's going to come out. You just have to be prepared. So this is how those presentations are to a great extent. So Mother Eve, I've been rambling on, rambling on. So Mother Eve really had come out, or in this sense of saying, well, the 14 gods are 14 Eves. Now that kind of made sense because the Eves are denoting evening, of course, like EVE from Eve. And that also coincided with, of course, night, NIGHT. Of course, the days when Mother Eve said, or when we hear about in the scriptures, Genesis of chapter 1 and 2, well, I think more 1, and the first, and the morning and the evening were the first day. So basically, when we hear the morning, it sounds like the sunrise, and the evening was a day. So basically, the day, according to Mother Eve, is masculine and the night is feminine. So the day and the night became, or the day, well, okay, the evening and the morn, which is the sunrise. So basically was the first day. So basically the evening, this is where we have perhaps got ourselves muddled up too, but according to the scriptures, hey, the evening going to the morn, MORN, morning. I have done this, was the first day. So basically after the sunrise, or when the sunrise happens, that's when we say, okay, it's a day. We count the day on the sunrise. Yes. Okay. All right. So not to stray too much from this point here, let us so the point is that the gods there will that's interesting. Very interesting. The gods there, I say, were female. They were Eves, because including Mother Eve were 14 gods. Of course, the gods, we have God, the God who made, the God who created, the God who planted, and so on. Then we know, or we have learned, that Adam was one who made man in his own image and likeness. Perhaps at that stage, Adam was not really male as we know today. That I think is interesting, because it's no wonder there is a verse I have been trying to decipher. Why is it that it is said, and we have to check the number, because then it is said God made man, when Mother Eve said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. In our image, everyone inclusive, I take it, after our likeness. And later on we learn that God made man in his own image and likeness. So it would seem to me that, of course, we know now that that God who made man in his own image and likeness, that Adam perhaps had, I've got to, in his own image and likeness. In Adam, it would be that there was male, female, he, him. That's the thing. It just is so funny, because he made man in his own image and likeness, and in the image of God. So it's as if God made man in his own image and likeness. Okay, so it wasn't in our, which would be 639. Wow. Like we have, this is what Mother Eve had been asking us to do. Hey, 639, and of course, I haven't got the numbers here. Well, I do. So this is the 63369. So it would seem like, okay, I was going to see how else they come. So it's 639. Oh my, I'm getting shivers here. I am getting shivers here. I've just seen it. So it's 639, 639, 639. That's the secret here. Oh my. This is the, wow. So it's 639. So we are looking at the mirror image to this. 639. And now this is why Mother Eve was asking us to count backward. Now we are meant to be counting backward. So of course we are in this new dimension, the fifth and eighth dimension. And I have spoken about where Mother Eve says, let us make man in our image after our likeness. This is on the eighth phase of her lettings, which is where we are at right now. From the 15th of May 2018, we entered that eighth phase. That eighth phase is really where we are in this 7-year cycle. So in this 7-year cycle, it's like a new creation is taking place here. We are setting the mixture, or the cake is being baked, so to speak, or being prepared. I'm not quite sure or clear altogether, but so this is crucial. This is very crucial, because Mother Eve really was saying, let us make man in our image after our likeness. So I'm going to really explore this. But God made man in his own image. So his is, let's do this here. This would be 9 and 9, 18. So that was 9. And the word own, we have done this several times, is actually 7. So this is 5. Okay, let's do this correctly. So this is 6, 5, 5. Of course, when we add this together is 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. Now, if we add this, his own image, because this is the distinction here. So is his own, the vibrational frequency here, we could say, is 16. It comes up to 16. Of course, 7 plus 9 is 16. 1 plus 6 is 7. So we see that coincides with the 7th day of creation. Oh, and so on, and all the wonderful things that 7 is, and even so with Mother Eve too. So 7 here is a direct is on direct par with Mother Eve as the serpent. Of course, when I say the serpent is S-E-R-P-E-N-T, which was the present in the Garden of Eden. Okay, so this is 1, 5, 9, 7, 5, 5, 2. Of course, adding this together, this is 10, this is 21, 28, 28, 29, 34. Of course, 3 plus 4 is 7. Now, it's also, remember, the word is also present, is P-R-E-S-E-N-T. Now, of course, this is Mother Eve, the serpent. It's important we remember, wherever we see this S, we are talking about Mother Eve's signature right there. Oh, okay. Let's see if we get a better job here with this one. Okay. All right. So we've got this here, and if we add this together, because that's what Mother Eve initially was asking, there we have this equals 9. 18, 1 plus 8 is 9. So there we have one aspect of 7 here and one of 9. Of course, the two coming together, this is another thing, coming together, of course, because there was partnership. Once Mother Eve had the contract or set the contract, there is still partnership. And of course, nothing comes into consciousness unless it finds something like itself on which to attach itself to. So there is a sort of partnership going on there. In fact, nothing was created without the authority of Mother Eve as behind it, so to speak. So even if we added again, as we have done here, 9 and 7 together, we see it's also 7. Okay, we have done this. I may have repeated myself on this. Now, yes, so I found this, I'm trying to really decipher this one verse, which is not the purpose of this presentation here, but if it's coming through And Mother Eve is trying to really explain something that I have really been wanting to understand. I am not going to resist. I am going to go with the flow, because that's what Mother Eve is about: flow, waters, words, vibrations, frequency, and so on. So, of course, now, so God made man in his own image, in his own image. And Mother Eve was asking to do in our image, after our likeness. So there's the two words here. Let's see, likeness. Okay, so this is 3. And Mother Eve likes that L word somehow, like the love word, likeness. When she says let, the L words, she seemed to like them. Oh, okay. There we are. Let's count this now. So this is, oh, okay. Let's do this another way. Okay. So this is 10, 20, 23, 26. Now, 26 is 8. 2 plus 6 is 8. I'll just double check that again. That's 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Oh, I think it shows 31 now. Okay. It's best to just do this, and when Spirit tell me to count it again, I go along with it. This is something I have learned. When Spirit says, oh, count it again, and there are times I don't. So this is 15. Okay. And 10 would be 25. That's correct. 25 and 3 is 28, 29, 30, 31. 31, of course, that likeness is like a month. That's the month. Okay, so 3 plus 1 is 4. Now, this is something we see very often as well. We have come across these numbers, 31 or 13, as the waters, like the word father, I think is 31, or west. So there, Mother Eve had already included father, for instance. Let's just do father to show that father was around then too. So, or the west, or the north, or the south. So this is 6, 1, 2, 8, 5, 9. Okay, adding this together, this is 10, this is 20, this is 31. I have a splendid memory. Okay, yes. So father is 31. So 4 plus, this is it, 4 plus 9 is 13. Now, that's what Mother Eve was dealing with as well. Now, haven't we spoken a lot about the number 13? And they say, it's unlucky, it's this, it's that, and so on, because we have not taken time to understand the derivative of number 13. And so those who know about it, of course, have framed it however they want. It's like putting a lovely cake or sweetie in a paper that you would not really acknowledge it. And your initial response to it is, oh, I don't like this. Like some people, you offer them some food or something. They've never eaten it before. They've never heard of it before. They've never tasted it before. And so they'll say, oh, no, I don't like it. What don't you like? The look, only the look of it. You can't say you don't like it altogether. You might taste it and find, oh, I really love this, Anyway, but might be a dry point, but I think you get my drift. Okay, so there we are. We see that Mother Eve was really saying about our image after our likeness. The word likeness, so that was the stamp. Even if we were to say, I would like to do after, include the word after, just for the fun of it, because that seemed to be like the ingredients. Yes, just do it. Okay, there we are, 10, 10, 21, 22, 23. That's Mother Eve. 23 as in the back. 23. So that would be 5. So if we added 5 here now, because that would be after our likeness. So then we would have 18. Of course, 1 plus 8 equals 9. And that's where we see all of that really takes us back into our. Because the word our is inclusive of everything. It had included Father Adam. It includes every. So this is really fun. This is where Mother Eve is so smart and so clever. Because by her saying our, she's already put the stamp of that includes everything and everyone and all forms of life. Right there. Right there. It's wonderful. Really, really wonderful. Okay, so Father Adam, back to this, then he's a man in his own image and likeness. So in his own, of course, the word own, because he perhaps had to look at things from his perspective. Identity, self-identity. He was trying to perhaps acknowledge his sense of self-identity or his sense of identity. He perhaps did not see his identity altogether in Mother Eve. He perhaps didn't see that because perhaps his breasts did not protrude out. He didn't regard them as breasts, or his genitals protruded out, and he didn't regard it as, yeah. So these are the things, not realizing that the two are really one and the same. It's like the yin and yang, or if that is really making, well, that's my point. So, and forming the whole. Okay. So that was perhaps Adam's issue. Now, the other thing that seemed to come to mind is, because we were not the first original people, and there were a people or beings before the Adam man, let's put it this way, it might well have been that there was another kind of creature apart from women at the time. Of course, there was, not might have been, but looking like human beings too, like we have today. This is the thing, that we have robots today, artificial intelligence today, that are talking and walking and doing all sorts of things. That would mean to say that this is a replica of what had happened before. This is very much so. This is why, again, it is said there is nothing new under the sun. So people are believing that they are extremely bright, doing all kinds of things or having all kinds of innovation that the world has never seen. This world, or our existing world, had not seen it, but they had not seen it because it was in the mixture of the cake that we had been baked with. It had lay low within us. It was dormant within us, because again, the our aspect of Mother Eve was with us. So as long as Mother Eve said, "Let us," by her saying us, which is 3-1, like I just added as well, like 3-1, the 31, which is like Father. So and those other words, the which is also the reverse to the word revelation. This is what Revelation is showing us, that us was always inclusive. So when we think that we are the brightest, I think it is a dumb thing to think, well, that we are the brightest of all innovation, that we are only bright in that of our willingness and consciousness to say, let us see what is there, because we are working with Mother Eve to make man in our own image, after our likeness. Let us not kid ourselves in thinking that we are making man in our own image and likeness. The own business here, which comes to 7, that would be like where there was an auction to have the contracts to the gods. There was an auction, we could say, that they had to bid to say, okay, I will want to bid to be the god of movement, or another one would be the god of planting, and the god of who sets the cake to bake it, or that sort of thing, because setting, or the one who formed, and so on. And of course, what about the one who breathed? And man became a living soul. That's what we learn. So all of those things, even in the word breathed, we think, okay, that wasn't that rising agent was already there. The rising agent was already there even before we are told that God breathed in man and he became a living soul. Because once Mother Eve had spoken, in fact, or she comes from the waters, the word et is here. The word et is in the middle of waters, which tells us that there is something, that the cake was there to eat. And of course, it has a function to rise within us, or to eat, or for instance, again, we had 5 here and 9 here, because Mother Eve has always said to look at the first and last letters. So the 5, which means end, and the 9, which also denotes beginning. So the waters in itself is, as I say, it's words, it's the language. It's speaking to us now and saying, well, actually, I am beginning and end. This is why we can do as we want with water. In fact, if you have the flour in the mixer to bake your cake, unless you add the water, nothing's gonna happen. It's the water is going to actually blend this together, gel it together, bring it together, give it a shape, so it can be given a shape. The water is that which we are. So, and having said that as well, beginning and end, this is when we have the story of Noah, for instance, that there was a flood, because there comes a time when there is that new beginning. The word beginning equals 9, and the word end, well, I don't want to do all this again because I've done it so many times, but trust me on that one. The word beginning is 9 and the word end is 5. So this is where we see that water is, there is no beginning and end, no beginning and end to Mother Eve, period. So this is what we are talking about. This is why Mother Eve is calling us home, for us to learn of her. By learning of her, we learn of our nature, that we are also everlasting like Mother Eve. Providing we can understand this, we can come into this frame and leave it and come back into another frame. Okay, now I know I have been moving away from the intention or the intended subject of moving, but it's really that I think when, as I say, when Mother Eve is giving some insight on something that I have been trying to understand, well, why not? So that God, we were talking about the gods, they were the gods of the Eves. Now I think as well, so there would have been Adam, who was the man, because God made man in his own image. So his own image, the word his as well is a 9. So there, Adam is in direct connection with Mother Eve here, the his aspect. The his aspect is 9, so this is 9, and of course this is 9. His is 9. Let's do this. So his is 9 and our is 9. So Mother Eve, that was covered here. That is complete in essence. But his and the own, so basically it's like from the 9, he like cuts a bit away and try to put his stamp on 7. This is why the 7 has this arrogant nature about it. You know, its head is up, looking as if, look at what I have done. You know, I am, I can chop you, you know, because I'm an axe, you know, and you may be a big tree, but I can chop you down, you know, and that sort of thing. But basically, um, it's this 7 is inclusive of the 9. Now, the other thing that we have come across as well, if we were to subtract the 7 from 9, we would have 2. But the 2 here, of course, TWO as well, which gives us 13. This is the game that's been going on. So if we add this 11 plus 2 is 13. We see from that 13 here, that would be enough to really have a beehive, which is what I call it, the beehive, because when you have come into agreement, like Christ came into agreement with the disciples at the table, because there were 13 of them, came into agreement on equal signs, they formed a bond, a beehive, which is representing the breasts or the buttocks or the bees and so on. And that's where the bond is. That's the beehive. That's where the sugar is. That's the incubator, because it's also number 13. Actually, the numerical value for the word incubator is 13. Yes, it all intuitively discovered. Okay, so these 2 here now, we can see was sufficient to form this other creation. It was sufficient to form that creation, because Mother Eve, she is the letter. She is the letter, so she can form the numbers into letters, as we learn now, because she's speaking to us in a language that we can understand. Everything is really implicit, but again, like the cake is taking a rise, so Mother Eve has found ways to relate to us in a way that we can understand. So there we are with the 13, and there we could see, like with the story of Christ, he would have his disciple in twos, Matthew and Mark, or however he recruited them. Most of them, I think, were in pairs of twos. Well, twos are okay. Yes, that's okay too. And of course, with the story of Noah as well. So we have those comparisons. Another thing that also happened, of course, we could also see how the 7 could be reversed into thinking, oh, you've got 7, which is a lot. No, but like the story of Noah, didn't he take some in sets of 7? So that would be one group. That would be one, of course, like this 7 here. So he owned 7, of course, because he won, as I have said before, the word owned, he wanted that on his logo. Now this logo that the God Adam had created here, man in his own image and likeness, that he had this own because he wanted the world to know that he won the contract. Excuse me. And that he owned it. And that he also makes a point of a very crucial, this is now. But because Mother Eve is the God of language, the god of language. So she is about letters. She is about numbers, but she's about letters. When it comes to letters, Mother Eve just know, okay, you want to make man in your own image and likeness, go on. But I'm going to let them know that you really had to struggle to get this, and you wanted to make it known that you won the contract. If there wasn't a need for you to put it this way, it's that you won it because you didn't have it in the first place. That's why you had to gamble or fight or whatever it is, or auction to win it. But Mother Eve now has let us know not only that it was his own image and likeness, he won the contract, and all of this means now. Now is really present. As we said before, to say now as your stamp is to always remember Mother Eve, because Mother Eve is the serpent. Of course, the word now actually is 7, as we have seen, and we have done as well. Serpent is also 7. Now we also know that the word present is 7. Is the serpent? It's 7. So Mother Eve, in actual fact, well, no matter what Adam was doing here, this is where it's like he's gone on doing his thing, and it's like you could imagine a young man takes over his parents' business, and I'm the manager now, I'm the boss, I'm the this, and I'm the that, and yes, I've been able to give the business a new name. It has a new name. It's called Owned, like Owned Television Network. It's called Own and so on, because he wants to be acknowledged. And Mother Eve is fine with that, because Mother Eve knows no matter how this goes around, she is not about ego or wanting anything else. In fact, it gives her pleasure to do that, to allow him to express himself. It gives her pleasure. So basically, there we see Mother Eve as the present, as the serpent, and in the Garden of Eden as well, which we won't go too much into that now, has really made her presence felt. Now, the man, that we are on the 8th cycle, which is where again as we say, this is where Mother Eve says, let us make man in our image after our likeness. So the clever heads, let's put it this way, want it known that they are making man in not only in their own image and likeness, but they call it the New World Order, which is all the same. So now they have given it a new perspective, which might not be so much of a new perspective. It's not because this one wasn't recorded in the Bible that it didn't mean that it was not going round before. So, but it's the New World Order was what perhaps was actually taking place before Adam had made it his own. So basically, Adam took the O out there and stuck himself in the middle of the N and the W. Of course, N and W actually, in actual fact, is really, if we were to see the naught as naught, which is the number of man, which is 6, so we could say this 5 and 5 is 10 here. This is why we use the word not, meaning like nothing. And this, when we do the word Adam, A-D-A-M, which is 4, 1, 4, 1. Of course, he had to find a way to have Mother Eve's nature in the name as well. So there we see 5 plus 5 is 10. Of course, we see that there are 2 14s here, just like when we do Eve, E-V-E, because they have to be one. Everything starts with one. So there is 5, 4, 5. Adding these together is 14. Okay. So there we see there is some consciousness or relation happening here. Do join me again. Let's look at the word moved. I felt it was necessary to look at God's image and likeness as it was coming to my mind. And as I say, join me again, and where we can further explore the characteristics of the gods, but not so much the characteristics. We'll be concentrating more on their positions in the Bible in Genesis of chapter 1. Yes, and perhaps 2 as well. Okay, let there be light, and there was light.